So guys, I welcome you once again to my channel. This is Chi-VicApparel. I welcome all my returning subscribers. Thank you so much for standing by me. And if you are new on this channel, thank you so much also for stopping by. So today we are going to be making this beautiful short gown with lining and with pockets.
So guys, this tutorial was inspired by the one at the left, while the one at the right side is the recreated piece. Okay.
So guys, as you watch, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share this video. Okay, so let's get into the video. So I'll go ahead and mark my starting point, which is the shoulder line. So guys, from this point, we'll go ahead and take our vertical measurement. So I'll go ahead and mark the shoulder to the nipple point, the shoulder to the bust at 11 inches. Then shoulder to the waistline is 18 inches. So mark my 18 inches here. And shoulder to the hip line is 24 inches, okay? So 24 inches here. Then I'll go ahead to take the full length. The full length is 41 inches. So I'll mark it. Okay. I'm going to be adding extra 1 inch for hemming allowance because I will use lining to turn it up so that it will not be more than our length. Okay. So I'll go ahead and draw a straight line across these points. Okay. So I'll go ahead and label this as a bust line. Okay. I can say the nipple line, then the waistline, the waist line, hip line, okay, and then the full length. So guys, having marked the vertical measurements, don't forget I'm cutting both the front and the back piece together. Okay, the front is the one that is folded, the one that has fold edge. Okay, while the back is this one that is in pieces. So I'll go ahead and mark 1.5 inch for zipper allowance for the back one. Okay, I'll mark it all through down. So I'm marking 1.5 inch for zipper allowance at the back part. Okay, and I'll connect it with my straight ruler like so. So guys, having done that, I'll go ahead and put our circumference measurements. I'll go ahead to mark the shoulder measurements. The shoulder measurement I'm working with is 16 inches. So I'll divide 16 inches by 2. I have 8 inches here. So I'll mark it. And I'll go ahead and add half inch for joining allowance to join the sleeve. Okay. So from this point, I'll come down 1 inch for shoulder slope. Okay. And I'll connect it straight down. So I'll go ahead and mark the neck width of 3 inches. Then from the neck width, I'll connect it to the shoulder slope. I'll connect this point. So, and I'll mark half inch upwards for joining allowance, for joining the shoulders, okay? And I'm going to connect it as well. So guys, I'll go ahead to take the neck depth. The neck depth for the back is going to be 1 inch, while the neck depth for the front is going to be 3 inches. Then I'll connect it to the neck width, okay? And I'll connect the front one as well. So guys, having done that, I'll go ahead and mark the armhole length. So the armhole I'm working with is 17 inches divided by 2. We have 8.5 inches. So And I'll go ahead and mark what I have here at the shoulder line at this point so that we'll have a straight line. Okay, and I'll connect this point. So, and I'll draw a line across it like so. So I'll go ahead and divide what I have here by 2. So 8.5 inches divided by 2, and I'll mark it. Then from here, I'll come inwards by 0.75. Okay, that is for the front armhole. And I'll go ahead to connect it to the shoulder slope. Okay, then at this chest line, I'll mark the bust circumference divided by 4. So the bust circumference I'm working with is 38 inches. So 38 inches divided by 4, we have 9.5. So at this chest line, I'll mark 9.5 inches. And I'll be adding 2 inches for seam allowance. Okay, half inch is for ease, and 1.5 inch is for seam allowance. Okay, let me extend the seam allowance to 2 inches. So after marking the bust circumference divided by 4, I added half inch for ease, because this, you can see it, that you can see the picture that it's not all that fitted that tight. So half inch for ease and 2 inches for seam allowance. Yes, let me use 2 inches because I'm going to turn first with lining, so it's going to reduce our seam allowance. Okay, so having marked that, I'll go ahead and connect this point to the bust circumference divided by 4 plus half inch for ease allowance. I want to blend it well. So guys, having done that, I'll go over to the waistline and I'll take the waist circumference divided by 4. So I'm working with 36 inches waist circumference. So the 6 inches divided by 4, we have 9 inches. Okay, and I'll go ahead and add half inch. This gown does not have that, so that is why I'm not adding that allowance. Okay, so after adding half inch for ease, I'll as well add 2 inches for sewing allowance. Okay, and I'll go ahead and connect this chest line point to the waistline like so. So I'll move over to the hip line. So at the hip line, I will mark the hip circumference divided by 4. The hip circumference I'm working with is 42 inches. So 42 inches divided by 4, we have 10.5. We have 10.5. Mark it here. Then I'll go ahead and add half inch for ease, as we have been doing, and 2 inches for seam allowance. Okay. So having done that, I'll connect the waistline to the hip line with the curved part of my ruler, like so. And you can get that. So guys, I'll move over to the hemline. Okay. And whatever I have at this hip line, whatever I mark here, I'll add extra half inch. Just half inch is okay, because you can see that it is not a pencil gown. So it's like a line, but just shaped down. So we have 13 inches at the hip line. So I'm going to be marking 13.5 inches at the hemline. You get it? So mark 13.5 inches here. And I'll mark the same thing at the allowance of 1 inch. And I'll go ahead and connect it with my curved ruler like so, because our hip is curved. So I'll connect it from this hip line, I'll connect it to downwards like so. Then I'll complete it with the straight part of the ruler. I'll complete the measurements all through down. You can see me doing now. So guys, next I'll come to the zipper allowance that I gave you at the waistline. Okay, I'll go in by half an inch. So I'll mark half an inch here. I want to extend this line. So from this point, I'll connect it back to the chest line. Or I'll just blend it upwards like so. This is to eliminate the zipper bulge. Okay. Then from this point, I'll bring it to this hip line also. I'll bring it downwards as well. Okay. So when I'm cutting the zipper allowance, when I get here, I'll come in inwards and cut. So when I'm joining the zipper, I will go inwards also and add extra half inch from its inwards. I hope you understand. So guys, I'm going to extend the back neckline to the back zipper allowance like so. So with this, we have done drafting the pattern for this gown. So go ahead and cut out our measurements. So I'll first cut the back neckline. And I'll cut the shoulder line. Then I'll move over to the hemline and start cutting as well. So go ahead to cut at this point. So guys, before cutting the armhole, I almost forgot to trace the back armhole. So I'll go ahead and trace the back armhole like so, because the back armhole and the front armhole are not the same for this style. Okay. So, and I'll cut out the back armhole first. So after cutting the back armhole, I will lift one of it up. I'll lift this one up and cut out the front armhole. So, and I'll also lift the upper one and cut out the front neckline. Okay. So I'll go ahead and cut the zipper allowance for the back one. But before then, I have not cut out the hemming allowance, so I'll cut out our ground length. So, and I'll cut off the zipper part. So you can see how I'm cutting it out. So guys, next I'll go ahead and trace the back and the front panel on the lining. Okay, I'll fold my lining into two. Now take the front one and place it. Place the front panel. I'll arrange it well. Make sure the lining is unfold and it has a folded edge here. So that is where you place the front panel. So it will be the same thing with what you have for the front. Okay. I'll go ahead and secure it with my pin. I like to secure my work very well before cutting out so that the measurement will not shift. So guys, having secured it well, I'll go ahead and trace this front pattern or panel. Drop in the comment section what is called. Is this a pattern or panel? So I'm cutting out the front panel. I call it pattern. I call it panel. So I don't know about you. Which one do you call it? Is this the front pattern or the front panel? Since we drafted directly on our fabric and not with a pattern paper. So what do you call it? Drop it at the comment section, okay? So I will mark half inch at this line, at the hem of the lining. I'll mark half inch upwards and I will cut it out, which means I'm reducing the lining by half inch. Hope you get that. So that by the time we'll sew it with half inch and turn it in, our measurement of length for 41 inches will still be intact, okay? So when I cut the back, when I trace the back lining, I will do the same thing. I will reduce it also by half inch, just as I did for the front one. So guys, I'm going to be cutting the back lining off the screen. Just placing the back panel on top of the lining and trace it and cut. Then remove half inch from the hemline. So that is it. So go ahead and cut our sleeve. So guys, to cut the sleeve length I'm working with is 11 inches. I'm cutting the two sleeves at the same time. Okay. So I folded my fabric into two. Yes, two of these pieces is what I folded into two, which makes it four. So by the time I cut, I will have two pieces. Okay. So it's a simple sleeve also. That is how the client wants it. What you see on the what I ordered, the sleeve is not up to the elbow, but the owner of the one I make wanted to reach the elbow, and her elbow length is 11 inches. So I'll go ahead and take 11 inches plus 1.5 inch for hemming allowance. So I'm marking 12.5 inches here. Okay. So guys, then that I will read this line across. Then I'll come down 3.5 inches here, and I'll measure the angle. The angle is 8.5 inches. That is 17 inches divided by 2. We have 8.5 inches. So I'll mark 8.5 inches, and I'll add 2 inches for joining, 2 inches for seam allowance. Okay. So I'll go ahead and curve it from this point to the armhole length. Okay. So I'll measure to be sure I have up to my armhole divided by 2. Okay. So, and the round sleeve at that 11 inches, the round sleeve is 13.5. So 13.5 divided by 2, we have 6.75. So I'll mark it. Now go ahead and add extra 2 inches allowance. Okay. Now connect the point. Connect the point. And I'll go ahead to cut it out. So guys, having cut our sleeve, this now is going to have a pocket. So I'll go ahead and cut my pocket. So I'm going to trace the pocket. For the pocket, I'll take the length of, let me just use one of this piece to cut the pocket, but I'll not waste the fabric. So let me trim this out. So we have a length of 11 inches is okay. 11 inches is okay. So the pocket width is going to be 7 inches. Okay, I'm going to curve the pocket like so. Okay, so this is the shape of our pocket. Okay, now cut it out. I'll put another piece. I need you to trace this one as well. So guys, having cut the pocket, I'll bring the front and the back piece and I will make a notch where the pocket is going to be. Where I'll attach the pocket, I'll make a notch there. So guys, the pocket is going to be about 2.5 inches away from the waistline. Okay, so it will start here downwards, or I can come up 2 inches safe because it's not that the waist is not going to be tight because we added allowance. Then I'll make a notch there. Okay, so we came down 2 inches from the waistline and mark our pocket. So when I'm going to be sewing it, I'll make sure I know this for the back parts as well. So I'm going to be showing you how I'm going to be joining these pockets. Remember I said front side facing each other. So guys, after cutting out our measurements, okay, I'll place the lining, the right side of the lining facing the right side of the front panel, okay, and I'll go ahead and sew it at the hemline with 1/2 inch. I'll sew and top stitch on the lining, okay. Then after that, I'll draw it up. I'll draw it up, draw the lining up to meet the shoulder line, so that what we'll be seeing at the hemline will be the main fabric and not the lining, okay. So when I draw it up, I'll then put this pocket inwards, okay, pocket to the inwards. Then I'll see what I did. This is the pocket. I'll put it inwards. Then I'll place the lining on top and sew it all straight down. That's how I'm going to be sewing the pockets. Place the lining on top and sew it straight down. I'll do the same thing to this side. Okay. I'll place the I'll place the pocket inwards. Place the lining on top. Okay, like this. And I'll sew it from the armhole down to the hemline. Okay. So whatever I do to this front piece, I will repeat the same thing to the back piece. You understand? The way I added this pocket to the front, the way I added the pocket to the front piece, I will do the same thing for the back piece. You know the back is in two pieces because of the zipper. So I'll repeat the same method. Okay. So guys, I'll go ahead to my machine and join all these pieces together, and I'll come back to show you the next step to take. Okay. So guys, I want to show you how I'm going to be cutting the facing you are seeing at this picture. So I'm going to be making use of this black material to cut the facing. Okay. So I'll go ahead and fold it into two like so. So I'm folding it to the shape of my front panel. So you can see. And I'll bring the front panel, I'll place it on top like so. I'll hold it down with my pin. And I'll go ahead and trace the neckline. I'll trace the shoulder line. Okay. So I'll go ahead and trace this point as well. Okay. Then I'll mark where I want the design to stop. So what I have here, the one in the picture stop at waistline. So I'm making my own to stop at waistline as well. And I'll go ahead and curve it. I'll slant it up to the shoulder line. So I'm making a slant. So guys, I'll go ahead and add half inch for joining it. Okay. And my chalk is not showing on this one. Let me use this color so that you see what I'm doing very well. Okay. So before I cut it, I'll add half inch. Add half inch. So I'll use it to sew it. So guys, and I'll go ahead and cut it out. So guys, this is it. And I'll go ahead and attach it to the front panel before sewing the lining. Okay. So this is how I'm going to attach it. I'll fold it in by half inch. Okay. I'll use half inch to fold it in and sew it down. Then I'll fold this part in as well. I'll sew it down. Okay. And I'll do this before placing the lining, before sewing the lining on it. So guys, if you have watched up to this point, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and share this video. Give this video a thumbs up on your notification bell so that you'll be notified when I make a new video. Okay, so let's go on. Let me go and sew it, and I'll come and show you the next step to take. So guys, I'm gonna head to attach the facing. Okay, I folded it half inch inwards all around, then I stitch it. All around. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to be doing now is to bring the lining piece. So I'll place the lining piece on top of it. I'll place the lining piece. Okay, then I will use half inch to sew it at the neckline all around. So after sewing it with half inch, I will notch it. Then top stitch on the lining. I'll top stitch the what I sewed. I'll top stitch the neckline on the lining. Okay. Then later, you see this crease line. I'll go ahead. You can see the picture that there is a slit in the front. So I'll go ahead and mark about 3.5 inches downwards. Okay. And I'll follow this crease line. I will make sure I make it very obvious so that I won't miss it. So this crease line, from here I'll sew about 0.25 inch this side. I'll sew it to this point, to this 3.5 inches that I mark downwards. Okay, I'll do the same thing to this side, sew it down to this point. Okay, so when I'm done sewing it down to this point, I will use my scissors to open this middle part. I'll slit it open up to this point where I stopped. Okay, when I'm done with that, then I'll go ahead and join the hemline. I've already joined the hemline with half inch, and I top stitch on the lining. So next now, after the neckline, I will sew the side. I'll sew the side with quarter of an inch. So I'll go ahead and sew the side with quarter of an inch. When I get to this pocket point, I'll fill the pocket inwards. Okay, I'll fill the pocket inwards and sew it with quarter of an inch to the hemline. Okay, so you can see when you sew it to the hemline, this our net fabric will go up because we reduce it by half inch, so it's going to go up. So I'll go ahead and complete the sewing to this point. Okay, so I'll do the same thing to this side as well. I'll also repeat the same thing to other pieces. So I've done that for this panel. You can see I sewed it at the neckline and I top stitch on the lining. So I went ahead to sew to join it also at the hemline with half inch, and I top stitched on the lining as well. Okay, before I now sewed the zip part, this middle part for the zip, I use quarter of an inch and run it all to the hemline. And you see this one has come up a bit because of the half inch that we deducted from the lining. So with this, I'll go ahead. You see there is opening at the shoulder line and at the armhole. So I'll turn it in out. I'll turn it to the right side of the fabric through this opening. So I'll turn it. Now make sure the all this edge came out very well. So I'll go the same way to this side. I'll make sure this pointing parts come up also as well. So guys, you can see what we have. Then I'll go ahead and give it a good press. So I'll iron it very well. Okay. So this is the pocket. So I'll go ahead and iron it very well. So whatever I do to this one, whatever I do to this side of the back panel, I'll repeat it to the other side of the back panel. And I'll do the same thing to the front panel, just as I've said before. So guys, after turning it to the right side, this is what we have. You can see that. You can see it. That's what you can see on that picture. So let me turn it this way so that you see it very well. To the facing on top the front part. So guys, having done this, I'll go ahead and give it a good press. Okay. Then I'll bring the back panel. I'll bring the back panel, the right side facing each other. Okay. Then I'll join it at the shoulder line. I'll join it. I'll pick one of this lining for the back and turn it to this side. Okay. That's how I'm joining it. And I'll stitch it. And I'll stitch it down with half inch. After stitch, I'll turn it over back. I'll do the same thing to the other side. Okay. So when I'm done with that, I'll go ahead and join the two pieces. I'll join the front and the back from the armhole. Okay. So I'll use the remaining allowance and join it. When I get to the pocket part, I will continue joining it with half inch on the pocket. I'll go it round with half inch. So when I get to this point as well, when I get to this point, I will join it down to the hemline. Okay. So and I'll do the same thing to the other side. Then I'll now go ahead and join the sleeve. I'll sew the sleeve and join it to the armhole. So let me go ahead and do that. Then I'll come and show you the armhole. So guys, I've gone ahead to join it at the shoulder. Okay. I've added the sleeve. So you can see it to the sleeve. I've also joined the front and the back with 1.5 inch allowance. You know, we gave extra 2 inches seam allowance. So I used half inch to turn it in, to turn the line in, so that to hide these rough edges. You can see that there's no rough edges here. So the remaining 1.5 inch is what I used to join it to this point. Then use half inch to join the pocket and get to this point. I continued to join it all through down with 1.5 inch. So I repeated the same thing to the other side. Okay. So this is it. I've also gone ahead to add the zipper. I've added the zipper to the dress. Okay. So guys, let me turn it to the front. So this is it. This is the back side. This is the zipper area. You can see how neat it is. So look at it. For the slits, I marked 9 inches from the hemline. I took 9 inches, and that is where I stopped the slits. You can see it. So guys, this is our short beautiful gown. You can see the facing, how it come out. You can see it. So this is it. This is our short beautiful gown. Okay. So guys, thank you so much for watching this tutorial to the end. Thank you so much for watching to the end. Please don't go without subscribing. Subscribe, like and share this video. Give it a thumbs up. Okay. Drop your comments as well. So I'll go ahead and give it a good press. Iron it very well. Okay. Thank you so much for watching to the end. See you in my next video. Bye bye.